of the Emily Pearl Show, its sister stations, its affiliates, or its sponsors, but it is those of the individuals themselves who express it. While the Emily Pearl Show does take stances on individual issues, the show itself remains an entertainment platform. Free thought is a philosophy and not a policy.
It's the 901 show. 901 show. 901 show. Get on this hot mic. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot mic. The 901 show. Hot mic. The 901 show. Hot mic. It's the 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot mic. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 901 show. I know y'all say, what's going on? Well, I was trying to, let me get my solo back on me. I was trying to check to see if we were also playing on YouTube, but the sound was coming through, so I can't check. Y'all have to tell me or I'll check after the show, but I know we're on the 901 show page because that's where I am. But so anyway, I'm going to share the link. I'll let everybody know that we are definitely on the 901 show page, but they can also check on YouTube as well. The studio says that we are broadcasting on both. But if I try to check and the sound start coming through, so you may have heard it. So anyway, we're going to proceed with the show tonight. And of course, in the studio with me is my co-hostess of the Moses, Miss Sybil Marie Pressy, and I'm gonna bring her into the studio now. Let me get the solo off of me, and I can bring her in. All right. Hello, Sybil. Welcome to the show.
Well, I'm always happy to be here, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the 901 show.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to be going ahead and trying to get everything straightened out. I don't have YouTube loaded on my phone because I have other apps that I have to use all the time. But you go ahead, take control of the show while I get the message out and let everybody know where we definitely are, okay?
Okay, we have a very special guest tonight, and we will be discussing his amazing book. He'll tell you all about it. It's Prince Chambliss Jr. Welcome to the 901 show, Prince. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to bring him into the studio, Sybil. See, that's okay. He's coming in now. All right. Hello, Mr. Press. I'm on high.
Yeah,
Thank you all
we're
very
so
much.
happy to have you.
I'm pleased to have the opportunity, and the book that I wrote about 10 years ago tells the story of how I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and came to spend my last 2 years of high school in Ridgefield, Connecticut. It was a long, interesting story, but I grew up in Smithfield, a part of Birmingham that's near the downtown area, not too far from 16th Street Baptist Church. And as most may recall, that was the church where 4 little girls attending Sunday school at church on a Sunday morning were killed by a bomb. And this was during the civil rights struggle. Dr. King had come to Birmingham, was leading the people in an effort to make the city a better place for all. And a bomb killed these little girls. And I was acquainted with all of those little girls. I was a teenager in high school. One of the girls was a classmate in my homeroom class. One was the daughter of my homeroom teacher. One was the sister of a girl in my homeroom class, and one was a friend. And it was the first time that anyone that I knew who was young, hadn't been ill, wasn't in an accident, but was killed. And so as a result of that a tragic occasion, I was the president of my class, and I was able to attend the funeral services for 3 of the 4. And Dr. King was there and presided, and I had an opportunity to hear him speak. And it's kind of interesting because my family's view as to Dr. King and the struggle and what was taking place was a little different from most. My parents raised me and my siblings to believe that we should get as much education as we could. And so our struggle was to be inside and not outside. And so I had accumulated a record of perfect attendance in school, and our parents were determined that I would continue with that. And so when the movement and Dr. King called upon children to leave school and to go to 16th Street Baptist Church and to attend training sessions and to attend meetings and be inspired to leave and go out into the streets and march, I was not among them. My parents insisted that I go to school. And for me to have to walk, I was only about a block from the high school, but that block became a walk of pain for me because the neighbors couldn't understand why my parents would continue to send me to school when the struggle was taking place. But I was raised in the South. Um, I was dutiful, and I obeyed my parents, and they told me to go to school, and that was what I did. But I knew that there were young children. There were 12-year-old, 13-year-old girls who were placing themselves in danger. They were using fire hoses. They were using uh, uh, police dogs, and they were being arrested. And so many were being arrested. The jails were overflowing, and they were forcing these young children who were being arrested were just put in stockades, in fences, and enclosed. And there I was, not taking a role in that. And so when the opportunity came, and I was able to go away to Connecticut to live with a white family on a special program, my parents thought this was the way to do it. My mother had always said, someone in this family is going to go to an Ivy League school. Now, we didn't know exactly where the Ivy League was. We didn't know exactly what an Ivy League school was, but we thought that it would be somewhere in the Northeast. And so by me going to live with a white family in Connecticut, it was thought that maybe I would get to go to an Ivy League school. And eventually I did. And I went to Harvard Law School, and my classmates, one of my classmates was Mitt Romney. And it's very interesting that first year of law school, I took all of my class. Mitt Romney and I were in the same classroom for the entire year for all of our classes. And also in that class was Chuck Schumer. Now, Mitt Romney is a Republican and Chuck Schumer is a Democrat. And there I am in between the two of them. And even as a child, I was not inclined to be connected with a party. I would read the papers and I would watch the news, and I never could understand how the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, who said segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever, how could he be a Democrat in the same party with John F. Kennedy? I think I was about 12 years old when that election took place between Kennedy and Nixon. And there, John Kennedy was a Democrat, and so was George Wallace. And I at the time, my father was a Republican. He was a member of the Abraham Lincoln Republican Club. And so I think people have short memories and people forget. But during this time, the Republican Party was the party that was thought of as being supportive of African Americans. And it was the Democrats. The South was solid for the Democratic Party. And now the script has flipped, as they say, and things have changed. And people, I think most people would be surprised to know that in the South, there was something called a yellow dog Democrat. Somebody would vote for a yellow dog if that was a Democrat. And now today, it's completely different. So when I had the chance to be in the Northeast and to go to school, when I arrived in Connecticut to attend high school, there was a group of people who were opposed to me attending the local public high school because they took the position that I was a non-resident. And here I was coming to this town from Alabama, and of course the town was all white. The American Friends Service Committee was a Quaker organization headquartered in Philadelphia, and they would identify black children in the South, and they would place the children in a home, a white home in the Northeast, and they would found these communities where the child would be the only black child at the school. And so there I was for 2 years. And so these people were opposed to attending. And it was such a difference because at that time the problem was in the South, and so there was newspaper coverage, and I can remember I was quoted in the New York Times as saying, "I will be in the Northeast to get an education, but after I get my education, I'm going to return to the South." And people were surprised to have me say that because so many blacks were leaving the South and going to the North and not coming back. But the thought I had is that if everyone left the South and no one returned, what would happen in the South? So I was determined to return. And after I was my education, I returned to Birmingham, Alabama, and I clerked for a federal judge. And the other thing about it is this was a long time ago, and at that time, I was the first black person to serve as a law clerk to a federal judge in Birmingham, Alabama. And so while I was doing that, it occurred to me there were some other things that I might be able to, some other doors that I might open. And so instead of joining my family, I had an uncle who was a lawyer in Birmingham. And my thought was that after law school, I would go and make arrangements or work with my uncle. But there were so many other opportunities, so many things that a lawyer could do that had not been open to a black attorney at that time. And so I decided I wanted to join a large law firm, and I wanted to represent national, international businesses and have a large firm practice. And unfortunately, it was decided in Birmingham that that wasn't going to happen for me, not at that time. And so I ended up coming to Memphis. And even though I couldn't get a job, I interviewed with those law firms. They seemed to be close. They seemed to want to try it and take me in, but they didn't do it. And so I came to Tennessee. The largest law firm in the state employed me and had no problems allowing me to represent their clients, large corporations. I was able to, I represented them in court, and I did that for 35 years. I was an attorney, and they taught me and they worked with me, and I was able to thrive and prosper as a practicing lawyer in a large law firm. I was the first black attorney in the state to become a partner at a majority firm. I became the first black president of the Memphis Bar Association. I was appointed by the Tennessee Supreme Court to the State Board of Law Examiners. I served in that capacity for 19 years. I retired as the president of the Board of Law Examiners. I've served as role model, as a mentor. And when I thought, I think every lawyer has the thought that there is at least one book inside that's just waiting to get out. And it took mine a long time to come out, but it did. And I am proud of the product.
Right.
In the forward of my book, I quote
Could you read us the intro or an excerpt from your book?
And the title.
Well, the title is Prince of Peace, a memoir of an African-American attorney who came of age in Birmingham during the Civil Rights Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the forward says, this book is dedicated to those who have traveled before me. I have drunk from wells I did not dig, and I've been warmed by fires I did not build. In some small way, I want to do my part for those who follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Okay, hold that stop right there. I hate to interrupt. I normally do not interrupt people, but I'm going to share the screen of your book, and I'm going to ask you a question because, you know, we just lost our great senator, Representative John Lewis. And I was looking at your cover, your book cover, and I'm saying, now when he comes on the show, I just got to ask him this question. Is that you and your father? And was that you as a child?
That's me
Or
at the age of three, and that is my father. And of course, every
okay.
son thinks that their father is the best father in the world, but mine
Yeah.
really was. He
Now,
was
yeah, now
amazing.
do you see how much you look like John Lewis as a little boy in that picture?
Well, I think he's a very good-looking man. I thank you.
No,
I
no, I'm
thank
talking
you
about
for that
you, the
comparison.
baby, the baby. Yeah, you. When I looked at that picture, that's the first thing I saw. I saw John Lewis's face. Doesn't he look
Well,
like him in that picture, Sybil?
I don't know if you have a
I
picture
think
of
similar.
the back.
And there's a
That
lot of
is,
echo.
It's coming
well,
from
the
your
back
apartment.
is me and my mother.
I'll mute you until you get ready to
With my
talk.
brother, who is my younger brother, who later became a judge. And here I am, the older brother, and I have to call my younger brother Judge.
All right. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to point that little similarity out. And so, did you have a chance to interact with um, Senator Representative John Lewis, Congressman rather, John Lewis?
I never did
Mm-hmm.
directly, but I did through the course of my life. I met a lot of inspiring people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dr. Benjamin Hooks
Mm-hmm.
was a mentor to me. And I can
Okay.
remember just following him around just to hear anything, any words that might come out of his mouth. He was such a smart, brilliant uh, wordsmith kind of a man, and always had just something words of wisdom
Yeah.
to hear.
My mother worked for Dr. Ben Hicks for a short period of time. She was very clerical. She one of the best typists in the 60s during that time. And she was active in the civil rights movement as well, because they had to have the ladies did a lot of typing up their flyers with the running the copies out with the mimeograph machine. You remember the mimeograph machine? Or
Oh
are you
yes.
that old?
Oh no. I can remember carbon paper.
Yeah, that's what they used when they had to make copies when they type. Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
say nothing about that carbon paper. Yeah, you can't even find any now, I don't think.
That's right. Well, I had mentioned when I was living with my parents and
Mm,
having to go to school and not being able to participate. Well, after I graduated from high school and went to college, I was on my own. And there's
mhm.
something about being on your own.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure people who are very familiar with me, people who know me, would be surprised to learn at the age of 19, I joined the Black Panther Party.
Oh, really?
I don't
Wow.
know if people know much about the Black Panther Party, but that was quite a step
Yeah, it
because
was.
the Black Panther Party was the vanguard
Did you
of the
go out
struggle
to Did you
at
go
that
out to LA at that time?
time. Well, no, I was I was in school in
Oh,
Connecticut, and then
okay.
uh, this was 1968 when
Mm-hmm.
I turned 19 years old, and at that time it appeared that the struggle might be successful,
Okay.
and I can remember uh, being 19 and having the opportunity to meet Stokely Carmichael, H. Rap Brown, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen Cleaver, and having a chance to interact with them and to sit and listen and talk to them. At 19 years old, I joined the Black Panther Party, and it said if you were my color, if you were African American, and you were 19 years old when I was 19 years old, and you
Mm-hmm.
were not a member of the Black Panther Party, you had no heart.
Right.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
6 years later, at the age of 25, I'm graduating from law school.
All
And
right.
so it said, if you were me at the time that I was 25 and you weren't in law school or graduating from law school, you had no brain. So I had an interesting life.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone from inside to outside, and I've been around and I've seen things, and I wanted to share with people. And so one of the things that I do in my book is I describe what it's like to be a young lawyer in a large law firm, and how you can survive, thrive, and prosper. What it is that takes place and what it is that you have to do. And I also talk about being successful with the bar exam. I can remember when I took the bar exam, it was generally known African Americans, blacks did not pass the bar exam at the same rate as others.
Right.
And I resolved for myself, I knew some black people passed the bar exam. And I resolved that I would be one of the ones who passed. And I was successful. And I have an opportunity to correct an error that's in my book. I had two uncles who were lawyers. And as a child, I could remember them talking about the bar exam and taking the bar exam.
Yeah.
And at that time, children were supposed to be seen and not heard, and you weren't supposed to participate in grown folks talk.
I know, but that's right.
We would listen, but the problem with that is that sometimes you add 2 and 2 and you get 5. But I knew that my uncle who graduated from law school first didn't practice in Alabama. He ended up going to Tennessee. And that was one of the things that I thought about when I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do in Alabama. I'll follow my uncle to Tennessee. I'll figure out.
Sybil is from Alabama. Sybil, you're from Alabama, right?
I thought that he did that because he didn't pass the bar exam. And I've discovered since writing the book, he didn't take the Alabama bar because, unlike most of my family that decided not to get involved, he had gotten involved in the movement. And it was generally thought that there was no way that they were going to let him pass Alabama. So he didn't take it.
I understand.
Very smart. Very smart.
I understand. All right, Sybil, you have questions?
Well, what I was going to say is, do you make personal appearances even to up to this time in your life to discuss your book and maybe have book signings? You know, a book never grows old.
Oh yes, I have done that. I've of course done it locally, and during African American History Month, I also speak. I go to churches, to schools, and I've been to Nashville. I've spoken in Birmingham. I've spoken at Wesleyan University, where I attended college in Connecticut. I've spoken at Harvard Law School, and I speak a lot about the book and the life that I have enjoyed.
That is wonderful. I'm looking forward to reading a copy myself, and it's on the ticker tape how people can purchase your book.
And I want y'all to know too that we are also broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube. I did find out.
Well, if you just put my first name and my last name in the search window at the Amazon website, it'll pop up.
That's right. All right, then. Well, let's take a little break, and when we come back, we'll have you read another excerpt from your book, if you don't mind. Okay?
No, not at all. Thank you.
All right.
That sounds marvelous.
Okay, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Just go ahead and share the show. You can watch us any place. We are broadcasting from the 901 Show page as well as on YouTube Live. And so what you could do is, if you are watching us on YouTube, watching us in front of your big screen television, just if you got Xfinity with that voice remote, just say YouTube. When YouTube comes up, just put in the Emily Pearl Show. And no, we do have a 901 page with YouTube, but we just haven't broadcasted on it yet. We thought we'd just use the one that we sent to you. But we will start broadcasting our show simultaneously, just like we're doing tonight. So I can't wait to see us on I like to watch the shows on YouTube because I can just lay on my sofa and watch it. You know, don't have to watch on a device, and then we are huge. All right, then. So y'all stay tuned, and we're gonna be right back. When we come back, our guest is going to read a excerpt from his book. All right, and you are watching the 901 show live from Memphis, Tennessee. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. Hot night. The 901 show. Hot night. It's the 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. It's the 901 show.
The Cupboard Restaurant in Memphis, Tennessee is world famous for some of the best food and Southern hospitality you'll ever find, and is a celebrity favorite. Open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day. The Cupboard Restaurant is located at 1400 Union Avenue, 1 block east of Cleveland, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Got a large group? Groups of any size are welcome, and catering is available. While you're there, pick up a copy of Charles Capella's world-famous cupboard cookbook. Check out their website at www.thecupboardrestaurant.com. That's The Cupboard Restaurant, 1400 Union, 901-276-8015. A proud sponsor of The Emily Pearl Show.
We're all back. Let me make sure that everybody's mic is on. All righty. Let me get everybody's mic on. Okay, Sybil, I got your mic on. Did you see my note to you in the chat box?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It got rid of it. Yes, it did. Okay. I don't know. It's just your building. Concrete, all that concrete, I think, you know.
I guess
all right. So now, the author. Back to you. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
great. We're going to put you on solo and let you read to us now.
Well, I thought that I would talk about the differences, what took place between leaving all segregated Birmingham to live in Connecticut as the only Black, and then I went from that experience to living at college where I was one of several Blacks. And there was a difference there in that when you are among a group, even though it's a small group, you tend to want to stick together. And at that time, just trying to get a haircut in Middletown, Connecticut at Wesleyan was difficult because there weren't many Blacks in that town. And so we ended up letting our hair grow. We didn't know what an afro was. You just let your hair grow. And so that trend just kind of developed from the fact that it was difficult to get a haircut. And so we had sitting at tables together. The school, the dean, went my freshman year, made the statement to the entire freshman class that the Black students were there so that the white students, when they graduated and became captains of industry and were presidents of large businesses, that they would have had some friendships with some Black people and learned about Black people. And our thought was that we were there to be educated and we would be presidents of large corporations. And we didn't take kindly to the fact that we were supposed to teach these people who were going to go out and lead industries. We thought we would be leaders. And so we developed this practice of sitting together in the cafeteria and being to ourselves. And the whites who joined us came to be there on our terms. And so it was a different experience. I had remembered how I didn't like those lonely walks to school when everyone was going downtown and was participating in the demonstrations. And so when I was on my own and had the opportunity to decide for myself, I became one of the people who participated in the demonstrations. And when the buildings were being taken over, I became one who participated in that. And so I took kind of a detour from my education, and I went to New York City. I took time off from school to the Lower East Side, and that's where I met Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown and Kathleen Cleaver, and had an opportunity to learn from them and to talk to them and to join the Black Panther Party and to kind of make my own way in the world. And this was 1968, and unfortunately, Nixon won that election. I mean, we didn't think, we really thought that things were going to change, and things went from being very good to being very bad. And I can remember prior to leaving Birmingham and going to Connecticut, I sat on the front porch with my father, and he was old school. He was part of the greatest generation. He was a World War II veteran. He was an athlete. He had letters in football and basketball in college, and he was a man's man. And so we didn't go around saying, "I love you, Daddy," or him saying, "I love you, son." But at that time on our front porch, we managed to say those words to each other and to indicate how much we care for each other. And he made the statement to me. He said, "Son, if you ever need a place to live, you'll always have a home as long as I have a home." And I remember being so touched by that. But I thought to myself, well, how badly does he think I'm going to do? I mean, but I learned you can go home again. And that's the title of one of the chapters in my book. I reached the point in the Northeast in Connecticut when things were so wild and crazy. Actually, I'd gotten a notice from my draft board. My high school friends, when people left high school, left class to go demonstrate, a lot of them never made it back to graduate from high school. That was the one thing that my parents were so concerned about. They never made it back. There was the Vietnam War going, and so many of my friends were caught up in that and went to Vietnam, and they never came back. They got killed. And so I was, my draft board, because I had taken a year off from college, they said I wasn't making normal progress towards the degree, and they drafted me. Well, I went to the place where I was supposed to report, and they said, take one step forward. I took 2 steps back. I didn't go. Oh, and I mean, people who know me would just be unbelievable. How could I not go? I was being drafted. Well, I read and I learn and I watch. I wasn't the only one who was saying no. There were many people who were saying no and who didn't go. And somehow I managed to work my way through that. And so, as they say, where there's a will, there's a way. But the place for me to do that was back home in Birmingham. I had an opportunity to kind of bridge. You know, they talked about the generation gap. You know, my dad was old school. He was the greatest generation, and there I was coming along trying to do things a different way. And we lived in the same house, and I managed to find a way. I was able to graduate from the University of Alabama, and I had a record such that I was accepted at Harvard Law School.
Oh, wow.
And I got my degree at the law school, and I was able to go back to Birmingham to clerk for a judge. I just couldn't convince those law firms that it was time for them to employ me. And the other thing I should mention is that I wasn't the only one in my college who had gone on that program and who had lived with the family. There were 2 young men from Memphis. And so I met them when I was 14, 15 years old, because it was so hard. Those of us who were living in these white families, I mean, they treated me like family. I felt like family. It was a warm, nurturing environment, but I didn't see any black people. And so this program would get us together a couple of times a year, where we would all come together and we could see other young black people, and we could socialize and have a chance to exchange and to unwind. And so I met these 2 young men, and when I got to Wesleyan, both of them were in my class. It was just very strange. And so I've been thinking about Memphis and talking about Memphis. And actually, I remember where I was when Dr. King was assassinated. I was in Middletown, Connecticut, and I was in the room with these people. Actually, there was some other black young men from Memphis who had also come to that college, which was very strange because the college was all white. It was all men at the time, but the person who did the recruiting, he was so good. I mean, he looked like a Hollywood a casting character for the dean of this kind of a school. He smoked a pipe, and he was just, he had a tweed jackets with patches on his elbows, and he talked these black young men into coming. Now, of course, once we got there, he was the one that told us that the reason we were there was educate the young white people, so when they got to be in charge, they will have had some experiences and they would treat black people better and know better how to socialize. And we didn't like that too much, but he did a good job in persuading us to come there to go to school.
That's awesome. Okay, and now are you reading an excerpt from your book for us?
Well,
now there's 2 pages that they show on Kindle. And I think it's like just a preview. Can you read those maybe?
Oh, you mean like
I think it's like the first couple of pages, maybe.
Well, in 1964, the New York Times included 2 separate articles about Prince Chambliss Jr.
Okay.
The first describes the refusal of the Ridgefield School Committee upon the objection of the local John Birch Society chapter to permit him to attend the local public high school because he was a non-resident. While at the same time, students who were citizens of other countries had been allowed for years and continued to enjoy free attendance with no questions asked. The second article tells of reversal of that decision upon payment of non-resident tuition. In Prince of Peace, we are reminded of how little time has in fact passed, and yet how many changes have occurred within such a short time. Prince Chambliss is a living reminder of what we all know to have been one of the most socially transformative periods experienced in all of American history, growing up and coming of age in Birmingham during the Civil Rights Movement.
Let me ask you this question. You have an unusual last name, and usually the name is paternal. It passes down through the men. Do you know the origin of your family name, Chambliss?
Well, it's a very short story.
Okay.
My great grandfather was a slave,
And
and
I got that from the name. That's why I wanted you to share.
At the time of the freeing of the slaves, my great grandfather was owned by the Montague family. He lived on the Montague a plantation down near Montgomery, Alabama. And so when he was freed, he was offered the chance to stay there on the Montague plantation, or he could go with the Chambliss family that was going some distance away from Montgomery, and he chose to no longer be associated with the Montague family. So that's just 2 generations gone. I mean,
right.
And so I had a high school classmate who is a genealogist, and she looked into my family and she said, beyond your great grandfather, your family name is either Smith or Jones or Williams, and I don't have any interest in following the Smith or Jones or Williams.
Yeah, that name, the Chambliss, that's such an unusual name. And I knew it had to be connected some way to the British. So, I
don't know any more about it.
Right.
And, my father's position was that, that saying, a rose by any other name is still a rose.
Right.
So he never cared much about names and
they didn't.
Family lineage.
Right. Yeah, because my family name is Perry, and so my family heritage comes from the Perrys from England that came over into the New World around the 17th colony period. There was a rich family. So it's like my grandfather's fathers, and mother were slaves. So.
Well, I can remember I married in the middle of my first year of law school, and my wife's sister is married to my brother, who's a judge, and so my younger brother married my wife's a younger sister, and they married prior to us. They were just young and impetuous, and so when we married, I was a student at Harvard Law School, and I can remember telling my wife, who was a school teacher, that I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm going to law school. When I graduate, we're going to go back south. And of course, we were getting married, so she said yes. Well, at the time after I graduated, and I reminded her that we were supposed to go back south, she had a position in Boston that she loved. We had an apartment in Cambridge that we both loved. We had friends, and it was just wonderful, a great life. But I told her, I said, look, we got to go back south. So I brought her back, kicking and screaming, complaining, and she got accustomed to it, and she's been a good sport about it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a good wife. They had a series television called The Good Wife.
Well, I've told her we may think that the move from Alabama to Tennessee was all about me, but sometimes I wonder, because she is 10 times as good as a lawyer as I think I am. She is 10 times better as a teacher, and she has touched far more lives than I ever would doing what I do. She does a lot of volunteer work. She's volunteered in all kinds of situations, and she has had an impact on many, many lives, and she's very good at what she does. And I think she's probably opened some doors herself doing what she does. And so I'm the one that wrote this book, but it may be her life has been far more important than anything that I've ever done.
Oh, that's so kind. Well, we'll have to have her on the show sometime.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yes.
She's part of 901. She's part of 901. Yeah. All right then. Well, I certainly have enjoyed you. Thank you so much for coming back again. And I'm so happy that we were able to simultaneously broadcast tonight.
Well, thank you. I would like to mention, I mentioned last time the website, the American Friends Service Committee, the program that brought these young people up. And I didn't mention Angela Davis. Angela Davis was 6 years ahead of me in high school. And so she participated in this program. She was placed in a white home in a family in the Northeast, and she finished her last 2 years of high school. And I came to high school 6 years after she left, and actually it would have been 8 years because she left 2 years earlier. The teachers were still talking about what a great student she was 8 years later. And so this program, all over the South, they were identifying young people. There are a lot of African-American people who went through this program, who benefited from this program. And now there's a website. It's called Beyond the Mason.com. Beyondthemason.com. It's not www, it's just beyondthemason.com. And so there's an organization, and the organization is sponsoring a documentary film.
Oh, really?
Being produced.
Oh, so you're gonna be in it?
This story, I haven't had any invitations yet, but this story is being told, because I can remember when I would talk with the other two students at Wesleyan about our experiences on the program. People didn't believe that it actually happened. People did not believe. How could a family, mother and father, let their 15, 14, 16-year-old child leave the protection of the home, the South, go way up to the Northeast, live with a white family in a completely alien situation? But they did. They did.
Yeah. I know when I was growing up, I mean, I have stories of, and I like to call people Caucasians because I've never seen a white person before in my life. I'm just being honest. White is the color of white. Okay. Wait a minute. Let me see what Sybil is saying. I had to put her on mute because the echo was coming from her apartment. What you say, Sybil?
I said, I look like a ghost. I look like took a bath in Martha White flower.
But you have a pink face. Yeah, you know, Caucasians have a pink face. Y'all are not white. And that's what started
I
all of
look like
our
a
racism
ghost.
that we have today. No, you don't look like a ghost. You never even seen a ghost. Nobody has. So how do you know? How do you know whether or not you look like a ghost?
I
The
seen
only
a
thing we know
I seen
about
a
ghosts,
Casper.
that's what I'm saying. That's a cartoon. That's a cartoon. Believe me, I've seen ghosts, and ghosts are not white. They come in the same color form that they were when they left here, whatever color they are. And you know, I have that psychic ability, and when I used to see them all the time when I was a child, so bad it would scare me, so bad I'd go into what people call fits. Back then, they
Oh,
called them fits, but they were seizures, you know, especially in the middle of the night for a child. That's ooh, I don't even want to talk about it. It's so shattering. But I knew. I mean, we had lots of Caucasians around us that were decent people. I'm just saying that, and I guess that's one reason why I take people at their value. It doesn't matter to me what color you are.
yeah,
You know,
me too.
I take people at their worth and their value to me. It's like Sybil. She's a Caucasian, but she's my best friend, you know?
Best friend forever.
And yeah, and I haven't had a best friend since gone high school, you know, and you just don't, it's rare to have best for me as an only child because I was a very untrustworthy person growing up, being an only child. I always had to defend them for myself and had to always be cautious so that I would not get befriended. So, I mean, to be a senior citizen and have a best friend that is Caucasian, to me, it's just an example of how the whole world should be, you know. And when you grow into wisdom, people grow into wisdom, they can see that. But a lot of, like I say, racism is a learned behavior. It is not nature. It's not from nature, but it is nurtured because it's a learned behavior. And Sybil and I don't have a racist bone in my body, not that I know, and I've been around her ever since 2011. I
Oh
think I
yeah.
know.
We're ebony and ivory.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and when I look at her and me, I wish that everybody could be like she and I, because she's just in a different body. She has a pink face, I have a brown face. She's a Caucasian, I'm an African American. And so that's what people should address. We people should start addressing people for what their cultural ethnicity is. My ethnicity is not black. I'm not black. Charcoal is black. You know, that's just me. This is how I feel about race. I just feel
Well,
that way.
I would just remind you of my dad's quote: "A rose by any other name is still a rose." So I
Hmm.
don't think words matter that much. I mean, it's your heart and your spirit and your mind
Yeah,
and your feeling, how you feel.
that's right. That's right. That's
And
right.
speaking of feelings, I'd like to mention a website that I tell people about. It's called the Daily Motivator.
The daily motivator.
The Daily Motivator. And it's the URL. It's not www. It's great.com,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
published every day except Sunday. This man Ralph Marston is just amazing. He doesn't tell you anything you don't know, but it's something that you just wouldn't think of. And the way he puts words together, I mean, each day is almost always better than the day before, and the day before was sensational.
Mhm.
But if you read it in the morning, I mean, it gives you a positive outlook, and he tells you things that you would tell yourself if you thought about them, and you already know them, you just don't think of it.
Exactly. Just common sense things, you know. Well, I tell you, it has been a joy and pleasure. Sybil, your closing words to our guests. And
It was
thank
a
you, Sybil, for
fantastic
inviting
show.
our guests. Thank you.
Yes.
Sybil,
Okay?
let me give a shout out to Sybil because she finds all the guests for the shows.
Well,
Anybody that
some
wants
of
to be
them.
on the show, please contact Sybil. Because see, I'm busy with promoting the show and doing the marketing and all of that. Sybil is my public relations and communications go-to girl. Y'all want to be on the show? Contact Sybil. How can they do that, Sybil?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, and also you can call me. 901-643-1982. 901-643-1982. So let me know what you do and just come on the 901 show and we'll go from there. And we also have a show on Friday nights. 901 is for people in the 901 area code.
Mhm.
For our guests, but on Friday night, the Emily Pearl show, you can still call me about that, and you can be from anywhere. So,
And I'm also looking for guests for all my other shows. I like to have guests on all my shows. We have I do a Sunday, not really a worship show, but a Sunday, a spiritual show on I broadcast live at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And on Thursday, I go to the extreme left. I do a 360 and I would talk about space, the universe, aliens, unexplained, all of that stuff. Then on Wednesday nights, if you like politics, matter of fact, Attorney Chambliss, I need to have you on my Pearl's Politics show one Wednesday night so we can really talk.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Okay, because that's where I talk about what's going on today. Yeah. And so Tuesday night is our 901 show, like she said. Now, you can still contact Sybil for the other shows if she doesn't mind. I know
that's
she's
fine.
a big promoter of Tuesday, Friday night show because the Thursday night show is a new show. And the Wednesday night show, Sybil is not into politics. But I'll take politics, Sybil. I'll take that off his shoulders. How about that? I'll do all the
All
investment.
right.
So,
I'm not into aliens either.
you don't like aliens either. Okay, well, I'll book both of those shows then. I'll let you stick with Tuesday night and Friday night because you're doing such a terrific job.
Well, thank you so much.
Got to give a shout out and applause. You have to
And we
give
just
people
love
flowers
having
while they
friends.
live.
Uh-huh.
You have to give people flowers while they live, because believe me,
Yeah.
they're not gonna smell them on that when they're gone. They're not gonna smell them then. So I like to give people their shout outs and their flowers while they live. And Attorney Chambliss, you are a jewel, and you have become a new friend. You're my Facebook friend, but I just never,
My Facebook friend.
had any interaction with you. So you've been her friend for a long time.
Yes.
So I'm glad to have you as my new friend.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to have you.
And I want to have your wife on the show so you could talk to her about it.
I will.
Some people are just show shy and they might not want to do it. She won't hurt my feelings if she don't want to come, but I would love to have her on the show.
Well, thank you.
Education is important to me. I have
Yes.
a major in English, a BA in English, and I have a master's in liberal arts. And I did teach in Memphis City schools. I was a substitute teacher for many years. So education is my thing because knowledge is power, and it's so well needed. I mean, all ages need knowledge because the more knowledge you have, the more confidence that you can build for yourself. Sybil, your summary, I guess. I was doing all the talking. I'm sorry.
It was a great show, and we'll tune in again next Tuesday. We'll see y'all Friday. And thanks again for Prince Chambliss Jr. for being our amazing guest. And I know he'll be back.
And
Well, thank you all for having me.
you are so welcome. Don't forget, y'all, the show is archived on both YouTube and our 901 show page on Facebook. You have the link for the YouTube, and you can share that as well. And the thing about YouTube is they're like a couple days behind as far as showing stats and that sort of thing. Don't worry about that, because I just do my shows. I don't even care about the numbers. They like it or they don't like it. And so I find that they like some shows better than they like others. They like some of the things I do better than other, shows. People don't like politics too much, I guess, nowadays, because they hear so much of it. They're frustrated. But now is the time to be concerned about politics, because we got to get out and vote. But don't let me start preaching on that. I got to know when. Who was that country singer, Sybil? Got to know when to hold and when to fold. Who's that?
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. I knew she knew. That's a country western music girl right there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. As y'all know, audience, everything we do is for you. We love you, and we'll see you guys next week on the 901 show. Bye-bye.
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 It's the 901 show. 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. Hot night. The 901 show. Hot night. It's the 901 show. It's the 901 show. The 901 show. Get on this hot night. The 901 show. It's the 901 show. It's the 901 show.